If you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing. Grant Hill was born in 1972 in Dallas, Texas. His parents weren't your average blue-collar workers. While his mother once roomed with Hillary Clinton at Wesley College and also worked as an attorney in the nation's capital. His father, Calvin Hill, played football in the NFL for 12 seasons, earning an Offensive Rookie of the Year, 4 Pro Bowls, and even winning a Super Bowl championship. Grant as a kid would hang out at the Dallas Cowboys facility with his dad, who was playing for them as a running back. He learned very early on what it was like for a professional athlete watching his father in the locker room, while he conducted interviews and the hard work he had to put in as a pro athlete. Grant liked football, but his love was for the game of basketball. Attending South Lakes High School, located in Reston, Virginia, Hill was already a 6'4", 13-year-old freshman. He was approached by the varsity coach Wendell Bird to play basketball for him. Hill didn't want to play with the older kids. He wanted to play with his friends on the freshman team. Hill knew he could play varsity ball, but he just didn't want to. But little did he know how it would change his game becoming a high school All-American. He was already receiving stacks of recruiting letters in the mail every day. Before his senior year, he had already committed to playing for Duke, where he would play for the next 4 years, which in the early 90s was completely normal. A remarkable 4-year run at Duke, averaging nearly 15 points a game and 6 rebounds, shooting 53% from the field. He's 9th amongst all-time leaders for Duke in scoring and 6th in assists, while being 4th in blocks and steals. Hill led Duke to back-to-back championships in 91 and 92 during his freshman and sophomore year. During his 4 years at Duke, Hill helped Krzyzewski and Duke to a program best with 118 wins and 23 losses. Already during his junior year, he was regarded as a lottery pick in the NBA draft, leading the Blue Devils in scoring with 18 points per game and earning the nation's top Defensive Player of the Year award. In his senior year, he was back in the championship game final, losing to Arkansas by just 4 points. Although he did not win the championship, his college career was exceptional.
With the 3rd pick in the 1994 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Grant Hill from Duke University.
Grant Hill being hugged by his mother. Grant played high school basketball at South Lakes in Reston, Virginia, suburbs of Washington, D.C. He's 21 years old, 6'8", 230 pounds. Doug Collins, as he goes up to talk with Commissioner Stern, your son Chris plays at Duke and played with Grant Hill, and I know you know him and the family very well.
Grant Hill was drafted by the Detroit Pistons in 1994 as the 3rd overall pick, entering the league as a small forward, signing an 8-year, $45 million contract. Hill could do it all. He had the quickness of a guard and the length and strength of a power forward. He would fill up their stat charts every game. He played like Scottie Pippen as a point forward, but could score more than Pippen with similar playing styles. He was regarded as having the best crossover for being 6'8". He was regarded as the next Michael Jordan coming into the league, as Jordan was already retired. Everyone had high expectations and he didn't disappoint, earning co-rookie of the year honors with Jason Kidd, averaging almost 20 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.7 steals. Hill's popularity was growing at a rapid pace. So big, in fact, he was the first rookie to lead the NBA All-Star ballot votes with almost 1.3 million votes, just beating out Shaquille O'Neal. Soon after that came in the shoe deals, Sprite commercials, and magazine covers. Hill could do no wrong. He was well-mannered, respected, and presented himself professionally.
Grant, it's time to look beyond basketball. I'm thinking made for TV drama.
You want me to be just like Tommy, Dad, but I can only be Jake.
After that, you go on tour with your book. Then you cut an album.
I'm a cowboy.
So, what do we think?
I'd never do something like that.
Maybe I'll call that big guy in L.A.
Hill married his girlfriend at the time, Tamia, a known R&B singer, in 1999. Hill played for the Pistons for 6 years, making the playoffs 4 out of 6 times, but losing in the first round each time. For those 6 years with Detroit, Hill averaged 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists with 2 steals a game. Every year he played, he had improved from the year prior. From 1995 to 1999, Hill was the leader in assists all 4 years amongst non-guards. Prior to the playoffs in 2000, Hill was still unsure what his move would be in the offseason. He was becoming an unrestricted free agent. He was toying around with the idea of possibly signing one more year with the Pistons, but wasn't sure. On April 15, 2000, a week before the playoffs, Hill suffered an ankle sprain on his left foot against the 76ers. Cleared by the Pistons medical staff saying it was only a bone bruise, he continued to play, always in severe pain. That is until Game 2 of the first round of the playoffs versus the Miami Heat, where he ended up breaking the same injured ankle. At the time I got hurt, I felt the game was becoming very easy for me, Hill said. I was entering my prime. There was an understanding of the game. I felt the next 4 or 5 years would be an opportunity and a time to really make my mark and really go for it. Hill was averaging close to 26 points a game his final year with the Pistons and was third in the league in scoring, already a superstar in the league and on top of his game where he had always envisioned himself as a complete player statistically. Hill has gone on record and said he feels the Pistons medical staff misdiagnosed his ankle injury, even questioning him about even being hurt. We have to remember free agency was right around the corner, and being hurt would not look good trying to sign a new contract. Hill could barely move without any pain prior to the break. He was being treated heavily before and after the game, while at the same time saying the ankle was getting worse. Hill didn't think it was some sort of conspiracy that the Pistons were trying to get rid of him, but it makes you think. Look what happened to Kevin Durant with his Achilles injury in the 2019 NBA Finals. Not saying that that's a conspiracy, but it makes you wonder. If you know a player is more than likely not signing with the team and he's injured, I could see the team sending him to the Wolves, so to speak, with nothing to lose. Hill left the Pistons after 6 years of his NBA career, putting up over 900 points, 3,400 rebounds, and 2,700 assists in Detroit. Only LeBron James, Larry Bird, and Oscar Robertson were the only 3 players in the NBA to put up those kind of numbers in their first 6 years in the league. The Orlando Magic received Hill in a sign-and trade. The Detroit Pistons signed Hill for nearly $93 million, trading him to the Magic for Chucky Atkins and Ben Wallace, which later on was an excellent move for the Pistons as they ended up winning a championship in 2004. Magic had hoped for the rising star Tracy McGrady and Grant Hill to team up and be something special for Orlando, but it didn't work out that way. Hill's nagging ankle injuries would force him to miss 292 games out of a possible 492 regular season games throughout those years. He would even miss the entire 2003 and 2004 season. FYI, Tim Duncan nearly signed with Orlando Magic at the time that McGrady was still there. Grant Hill made an amazing comeback for the 2004-2005 season. By this time, McGrady had already made a name for himself and was playing for the Houston Rockets. But Hill was healthy, playing 67 games and averaging an unbelievable 20 points a game that season after missing nearly 3 years. Hill made the Eastern Conference All-Star team. Although the Magic didn't make the playoffs, things were looking up for Hill moving forward. That is, until Hill would miss 61 games the following season due to a nagging groin injury. It was obvious to the Magic that Hill was a $92 million mistake, but it wasn't any of Hill's fault. When you are putting your $1 million body in the hands of the team's medical staff and trust their opinion as you're told, you really have no choice. All is not lost with Grant. Before the 2007-2008 season, Hill signed with Phoenix, where he managed to stay healthy playing the next 5 seasons, teaming up with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire. The issue is that the Suns were an excellent team previously to when Hill got there. They had a lot of new faces and no identity anymore. It was poor timing, but I'm sure Hill was happy to be healthy and playing. The team struggled until the 2009-2010 season when the Phoenix Suns made one more run and made the playoffs. Hill knew he could no longer be the go-to guy, as the injuries took a toll on his body and the time had passed. Phoenix was able to make it all the way to the conference finals, but falling short and losing to a championship Lakers team. It took 15 years for Hill to get past the first round of the playoffs. Grant Hill's final season came in the 2012-2013 season for the LA Clippers at the age of 40. Averaging a career 17 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists over 19 years. Unfortunately, we didn't see Hill's full potential, but injuries are part of the game. Every player gets injured, but how you will overcome that injury is the hardest achievement in sports. Time and time again, we see players fall off the face of the earth due to injuries. Not the case with Grant Hill. Hill went out as an excellent role player and was a leader in every locker room he was a part of. Hill was one of the best ambassadors for the league off the court. Grant Hill credits his father to how he conducted himself during the difficult time he endured in the NBA. His father, Calvin Hill, showed his son during this time in the NFL how to model himself into a respectful athlete that people will look up to. Hill could not have overcome those obstacles he faced in the NBA without that experience from the locker room that he witnessed his father in. He could have just walked away with the money after Orlando, but he didn't. 11 surgeries and almost dying due to a bacterial infection from one of his ankle surgeries. Hill lives to tell his inspiring story about never quitting. Grant Hill may have been the greatest what-if story the NBA has ever seen. Hill was inducted to the Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018. Thank you, Grant, for all the memories. Oh, and by the way, I kind of lied about Grant Hill's stats not being relevant. He's one of 17 players in NBA history with over 17,000 points, 6,000 rebounds, and 4,000 assists. If you enjoyed the video, support this channel and subscribe. Thank you.